A significant shift is underway in the Pacific Ocean. It sends ripples across the globe, influencing weather patterns far and wide. This is a La Niña alert. The re-emergence of this powerful climate driver signals we must turn our attention to the skies. Europe looks ahead to winter 2026. This is not a prediction of doom, but a call for awareness. When La Niña is active, winter rhythms can be disrupted. It can alter the paths of storms. It can change temperature profiles. It can influence where and how much snow will fall. From the shores of Ireland to the plains of Poland. La Niña is a natural and recurring climate pattern. Its story begins in the tropical Pacific Ocean, near the equator. Surface waters in the central and eastern Pacific become significantly cooler than average. This cooling can persist for many months, sometimes a year or more. Stronger east-to-west trade winds push warm surface water toward the western Pacific. As warm water is pushed away, upwelling brings colder water to the surface. This produces the cooler-than-normal SSTs that define La Niña. A cooler Pacific releases less heat and moisture into the atmosphere. That alters global atmospheric circulation, including the jet stream. The jet stream is a fast-flowing river of air that steers weather systems. La Niña often makes that ribbon more amplified and meandering. Over the North Atlantic and Eurasia, that changes where highs and lows track, which directly influences temperature and precipitation far from the tropical Pacific. It doesn't create weather on its own, but it reshuffles the odds. For Europe, that can mean more storms from the Atlantic or cold Arctic intrusions. That's why meteorologists watch La Niña closely. Next, the polar vortex, another key player for winter 2026. The polar vortex is another critical component of the winter weather equation. Its name often evokes dramatic images, but it is a normal feature of our atmosphere. It is a vast, rotating expanse of very cold air centered high above the Arctic. Imagine it as a giant spinning top of frigid air, held by a polar night jet. When strong and stable, it locks the cold up north, often meaning milder winters for mid-latitudes. But atmospheric waves from lower latitudes can disrupt it. It can wobble, slow, or even split into multiple lobes. When it falters, lobes of Arctic air can spill south, like batter spilling from a bowl. Those intrusions bring severe, prolonged cold snaps to continents. A classic example is the beast from the east that brought record cold and heavy snow. The vortex's strength and position help determine winter severity. A strong, tight vortex often means milder winters for many regions. A weak, wavy vortex raises the odds of major Arctic outbreaks and snowy surprises. When it happens, daily life and infrastructure can be dramatically affected. Next, we'll connect the dots between the Pacific and the Arctic. The connection between La Niña and the polar vortex is indirect, a complex atmospheric dance. La Niña does not physically push the polar vortex. Instead, La Niña alters large-scale atmospheric waves, making the jet stream wavier. These amplified waves can propagate upward into the stratosphere where the polar vortex resides. When they break, they deposit energy that can warm the polar stratosphere and weaken the vortex. This process can trigger a sudden stratospheric warming, a major vortex disruption. A weakened vortex increases the chance of persistent blocking highs over Greenland or the North Atlantic. That can obstruct milder Atlantic air from reaching Europe and open icy corridors from Siberia or the Arctic. Cold air can then plunge into Europe, raising the risk of severe outbreaks. But other factors, Arctic sea ice, Siberian snow cover, can enhance or counteract this influence. Historical data indicate La Niña years tend to show higher frequency of sudden stratospheric warming events. Let's look across Europe. Impacts will vary by region. The British Isles and Ireland often see a stormier, wetter pattern with stronger Atlantic storms. Scandinavia frequently trends colder and snowier, especially if Arctic air intrudes. Central Europe can be highly variable, alternating mild Atlantic spells and abrupt cold snaps. The Mediterranean generally stays milder, but shifting storm tracks can bring wetter-than-average conditions. Occasionally, strong southward pushes can produce unusual snowfall at higher elevations and surprise communities. One defining feature of a disrupted vortex winter is abrupt, dramatic swings in weather. Cold air passing over warmer seas can fuel intense, localized sea effect or lake effect snow. These surprises can overwhelm municipal services and strain power grids. They can shut down transportation networks and strand travelers. That's why close monitoring of long-range and short-term forecasts is essential. Next, practical steps every household can take to be ready. Practical preparedness. Simple steps for every household. First priority, service your heating system before the cold sets in. Assemble a basic emergency kit. Non-perishable food, water, flashlight, and batteries. Include a battery-powered radio, power bank, and warm blankets. Prepare your vehicle. Good tires, a compact shovel, jumper cables, and a warm blanket. Keep devices charged and adjust travel plans when warnings are issued. Communities need logistical readiness, salt, service plows, and clear priority routes to hospitals and emergency services. Energy providers must assess and fortify infrastructure and test backup generation capacity. Advanced forecasting, seasonal models and high-resolution short-term models give decision-makers crucial lead time. Use trusted platforms like national services and pan-European alerts to understand risk levels. Community coordination and clear communication protect the most vulnerable. The outlook for winter 2026 is written in probabilities. La Niña and the polar vortex set the stage for potential volatility. We cannot control the polar vortex or La Niña, but we can control how we prepare. Small actions at home and coordinated community planning build resilience against surprises. Stay informed via official forecasts, assemble your kits, and heed local warnings. Prepare calmly and stay safe this winter.